Welcome to Brain Overboard. I start the game by pushing pawn to d4. My opponent responds knight to f6. I bring bishop to f4, eyeing the center. They counter with knight to e4, trying to get aggressive early. I play pawn to c3, challenging the knight. They bring knight to c6. I drop my knight to d2, hitting the center. Opponent goes knight back to f6. I push pawn to e3, keeping it solid. They play pawn to d5. I develop bishop to e2. Opponent jumps knight to e4 again, repeating the theme. I bring my knight to f3, developing. They capture knight takes d2. I recapture with knight to d2. They develop bishop to e6. I castle kingside. Opponent plays queen to d7. I expand pawn to b4. They castle queenside. Now I push pawn to a4, starting my queenside attack. Opponent plays pawn to g6. I bring knight to b3. They push pawn to h5. I reposition knight to c5, strong square. Opponent answers queen to e8. I place queen to c2. They develop bishop to f5. I swing queen to b3, eyeing weaknesses. Opponent brings bishop to h6. Now the tactics start. I sacrifice knight takes b7. Opponent captures king takes b7. I shove pawn to b5, kicking the king. Opponent runs king to a8. I follow with pawn to a5, advancing. Opponent pushes pawn to g5, attacking. I move my bishop to c7. Opponent responds rook to c8. I advance pawn to b6, breaking through. Opponent captures, knight takes d4. I recapture pawn, c4 takes d4. Their rook takes my bishop on c7. I capture b6, takes c7. Opponent goes pawn to e5. I capture, queen takes d5, striking check. They try to block with queen to c6, but I finish it with queen takes c6, checkmate.
Let's take it back a second because I could have gotten checkmate a lot sooner once I brought my bishop up the diagonal. Once bishop c7, then pawn b6, it would have been mate in one. Since my opponent didn't see it, they chose to attack my queen. I could have went pawn b7 with checkmate, winning the game 2 moves earlier. That's why it's good to analyze your games after you play.
And that's the game. A tactical storm from the knight sacrifice on b7 to the final queen checkmate. Development, activity, and pressure win the day.